Yeah. Ooh. There's mushrooms when you go.
Yeah.
Mushrooms.
Now you
I know.
where it is. Yeah, Canada. The phone I watched a video here last time.
We always talk in our culture about water is life. We're born out of water. You need water to survive. Ani tikdodam megase koidishnakas, Lori Jaganashnoswin, Michisaki Anishinaabe and Dao. Welcome to the traditional territory of the Michisagi people, Treaty 20 and Williams Treaties.
We are located here on Michisagi territories. I'm standing next to the Otonabee River, the Odanabe River.
Yeah, you can stop it. You just, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So quiet.
See, I've been here. That's so cool. Actually. Yeah. 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 I went this side.
Yep.
We didn't see this on the side.
Nothing new.
Yeah. It's tree bark. Yeah. Yep.
Same thing with Grandpa likes. Mm.
One boat. And there's two. Oh, shoot. He's making his own boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is like making it. Yeah. There's a lot of work. It does, doesn't it?
I hear bird sounds. This type of music? Country. Okay. Weird.
This? Cynthia did the fur trade too. What? Some of the ancestors? Yeah. Honestly. These are the maple on one side. Oh.
You look like I'm doing some DJ stuff. Yeah, with this music.
Yeah.
Okay. What? That's doing strange things like cutting a Joe song and like that. Right. Imagine that this was the bathroom rug. What? That's nice. What's wrong with you guys? Oh, wow.
New mentor. So, the mentor.
Wait.
This is the mentor.
I wasn't brought up with my culture. but I was early taught that it's in me. It's in my DNA. It's in my memories, my body memories of my mother and my great-grandfather and father. My mother was taught not to speak her language because it was not the right language. She was taught that her parents' culture was not the right way to live. And that was a huge impact. I call myself a second-generation residential school survivor. I couldn't imagine growing up not being proud of who I am. Work with Fort William First Nation. I've worked on the mountain for 6 years now, and in that time I've had the pleasure of working with Fort William youth. I guess just wanting to engage with the youth, I thought, well, you know what, let's build a canoe, start to finish. This craft, I don't know of anybody out here in Fort William First Nation that knows how to build a canoe. I don't know of anybody in my mother's generation that knows. And I thought, how could we have lost that? I thought it was the perfect key to kids outside and experiencing
definitely.
not only just nature, but even really knowing the land that they live on within their own community. It's a great place to kind of awaken that in them. We get the students out harvesting the materials, and they get to work really intimately with the materials, preparing the materials, cleaning the materials. It's not an easy thing to do. You're sweating, sometimes you get hurt, you're in the bush. Maybe a lot of people don't know how special it is, but I'm sure there's more people out there who do appreciate how sacred it is, and how powerful it is. That's why I think it's important to get those kids engaged in their surroundings. The kids that build the canoe, they know how it was used. They knew it was important to the people. It's all in us. Our culture is in us. All those grandfather teachings, they come down to connections to Mother Earth and connections to things that are more than us. If you feel connected to one another, and if you really believe it within yourself, you could never be alone. I guess it's just a sense of being okay.
Yeah.
And when I saw them go in that canoe, and they didn't tip, and they didn't sink, and they all had fun, they did it, and I was proud of them. Kids are faced with a lot of stuff in their life. Some of them are put up with some pretty terrible stuff. And if you could give them something to be proud of, that was the best for me. It was all worth it. I hope that they feel pride within themselves as being like family, a place of home. This is where I'm from. Getting out into the water and feeling nature in such a personal way gives me the thought that these kids will have hope too. They're passing on that knowledge for them to pass on so they could then teach their youth to be proud. If they're making an effort to come out and learn, then by all means, give them all that you have.
We got the whole world in our hands. Uh-huh.
You want to take a picture?
Take a pic, take a pic. Yeah, join the campfire. Should have bought popcorn.
Don't worry. We'll go to the cast downstairs.
Okay.
Wait. I know. I fell over. I fell over.
What?
I'm PJ Jefferson, and I'm the president of the Friends of Tomorrow, a non-profit, all-volunteer organization that tries to find that balance between protecting and maintaining canoe routes and environmental, ecological conservation of the Temagami region. We need to protect the forest itself. We need to protect these intact landscapes that we have, right? Like the soulless wildlands. It is untouched by man, other than the canoeists, the trappers, the ancient Nistalgan portage routes that we know have been used for thousands of years. But one of the big purposes of this last trip was to document the area. We need to bring public awareness to the soulless wildlands, because it's going to change significantly with the progress of this Turner Road, and it's going to change significantly when they clear cut that forest within the soulless wildlands.
The soulless wildlands is the last roadless, unprotected forest in Temagami, an area that was left out of the original park planning system, which are currently under threat from a 26-kilometer primary logging road. The soulless wildlands, as we define it, is about 10,000 hectares of untouched virgin forest. And it's a completely unique landscape in Ontario that is really a part of a greater intact forest. So you'll get those old growth red pines, old growth white pines, which are provincially and globally significant. And the whole area just feels a little bit more wild than the managed provincial parks. It's just a really magical place. Once you're out there, you kind of feel like you are in the middle of nowhere.
This trip, we had Alex Matthias along with us. He is a Temagami First Nations elder. He is a caretaker of his family's traditional territory, and the conservation of this land has been significantly his doing.
My name is Alex Matthias. I live at Ababka Lake on the Masabi family traditional territory. This passed to me in 1992, so I moved back in 93. I've been here ever since. I'm concerned about the logging that's taken place for the last 100 years in Temagami region. And it seems to be they're taking more and more, and they're not saving anything for future generations to see. When I was a kid growing up, there was no such thing as clear cuts. All they used was horses, and starting probably in the 70s when they had their equipment to do this clear cut. They do more damage in 1 month than those guys done in 3 years. And just rape the land out of it.
As you can well imagine, the amount of portages and canoe routes to clear outside of Ontario parks is massive. A big part of what FOT does is we clear portages as we trip through it.
I think those trails are there for thousands of years, and once they're not used by human, animals keep using the trails, and it's pretty nice to walk those trails again, which people did for thousands of years in Tamagami region. Everybody has a reason to be alive, and I believe it's one of the reasons I'm so here to help protect what we have to protect.
We just spent, a week in the Soulless Wildlands, and we knew that the Turner Road had been started, and the portage from Ames Creek into Twinkle Lake crosses that new road that is just a massive strip of destruction through forest. These old trees are the sentinels of these ancient portages, and there's not many of them left. We discovered the fact that they've continued to put this road in. They put a couple of bridges across, significant creeks and rivers, and the notion of what that road will cost is in the millions of dollars, and that same forestry industry that needs to get at those resources is paid by our tax dollars to put in that road. Access to this forest, to any forest, increases significantly the pressure to the area. I have a concern for our environment and our climate and our world, our earth. I hear the concerns about the Amazon forest, and I hear the concerns about the Arctic, but you do not need to go to the Amazon forest to see the issue and see the problem. We are not doing this world good by clear-cutting the Tamagami forest.
What are we doing? What are we doing to our planet? Trees provide oxygen, and they're destroying mankind themselves. People have an idea what they're doing. I'm sure many people would step up and help prevent what's happening. Even as human beings, we're all animals in some way or another, But some animals are just greedy, and that's what the government is that approve those cuts to take place. They're greedy because there's money involved. That's all on their mind is dollars, not protecting animals or protecting the forest. You got to protect the forest for the animals. They can't speak for themselves. They talk about putting their roads in and log them, but nobody mentions the moose or the big game, as well as other creatures that depend on those forests to be their homes. With the clear cut, there's not going to be no place for them to go. The area keeps getting smaller and smaller. As soon as they'll be wiped out just like anything else. My people protected it for thousands of years before European contact, and nature kind of managed it herself. And that's the only way it can be managed. There's no human being on this planet can manage the forest to be natural as it is supposed to be.
We know over the last 30 years that old growth forest has offered some avenue to provide protection to the forest in Tamagami. The problem with that is that the forest has already been harvested, and so we are left with these tiny little patches of old growth forest, and they just cut and harvest around them. These forests aren't going to survive that way. You know, there's more to a forest than this big tree, right? This big tree is lovely and it's beautiful and it's ancient, but in order to get the forest to that point where you get 2 and 3 and 400-year-old trees happens over a process of 1,000 years or however many years. Nobody understands that science. Nobody has that science. Bottom line is protecting these small pockets of old growth isn't enough. We need to protect the forest itself. It's not a piece of property. It's not something to be had or to be possessed. It's here for us all to come to enjoy, to love. I'd like to be positive, and I'd like to hope that this place is here for my grandchildren, but I worry that it's not going to be. Whatever the future may hold, I know that I and my friends and my organization have tried. We've stood up, and I hope we make a difference.